Anyway, so let me go back to sharing the screen. Recording. All right. Share. Okay. So from the link that I shared among us in the morning, the whole our classes will be based on that link, and the tutorial point is a platform that I follow a lot when I need help, and there um, the explanations and other things that they give, their tutorials that they give on other courses are mostly vital. They help me in my search for troubleshooting for a problem. So I consider that one to be the the platform that we'll be using as a guide to um, to help our classes. Let me put it that way. So with today with a tutorial session here under the PHP tutorial, we'll be handling the introduction, the environment setup, the syntax overview, variables. We'll jump the constants for now. Then we go to operator types. Then we probably might end at decision making for today. So that is our roadmap for today. All right. So this first session will be more of um, talking and few testing in the PHP environment in the IDE. Let me put it that way. So in the introduction, PHP, as most of us know, these are some reading introduction that probably might have all read in the within the day. So PHP is an acronym for Hypertext Preprocessor, and it's a server-side scripting language that is embedded in HTML. So it's a server side that supports web development, and since it's a scripting language, it helps in creating APIs to communicate between the front end and the databases. So that is basically how it is. And for every web application, you can't do without HTML. So that is why that point means is a server-side scripting language that is embedded in HTML. So just as you can embed other languages in HTML, PHP is one of them too. Okay, so that is how it is, and it's integrated with a number of popular databases, including MySQL, um, PostgreSQL, SQL, Oracle, Sybase, Informix, Microsoft SQL Server. But basically, this is what I mostly use: the Oracle, I say MySQL and the Oracle. But more probably is the MySQL. Because on the online servers too, they all deploy the MySQL most. So these are some things that we can read about. These are some things that we can read about in the link that I shared. Then common use of PHP. We have PHP performs functions, that is from file to a file on a system, and it can create open read, and these are some readings that we can do. So I'll jump to this place. Um, Hello World script in PHP. So this is just to give you a feel of the PHP, how the PHP is embedded in the HTML. So this is how a simple code to show you at least the first programming display that every programmer experiences, the hello world. So this, if you want to display hello world using PHP embedded in HTML, these are the syntaxes that you have to deploy, and we'll be doing a lot of this very soon. So these are just some few syntaxes. When it gets to HTML, the front end, we will explain these tags. The HTML here, open tag, the head open tag, the title open tag, and the closing title open tag. Then the closing title tag, likewise the head and the body and other things. So when it gets to the front end design, that is the HTML, we'll delve deeper into it. But this is just to give you a glimpse on how to display hello world in PHP. Okay. So now the introduction is done. So we go to the next the next item, which is environment setup. So the environment setup is what we did last week by installing the prerequisite tools that we will need in our PHP journey. So if you remember, we installed the XAMPP, which is the first thing to install if you want to run PHP on your web browsers. The XAMPP is the first tool. It serves as a server. So as soon as you install the XAMPP on your machine ends up to become a mini server, which is not expected to go off, as we all know about servers. But since it's just a local deployment, you can easily turn it on and off. So I would ask, I'll ask if we're all able to install those applications. Were we all able to install the applications that I shared last week?
Well, I was able to install mine. I think Mr. Babu was able to install his. I don't know of the others.
That's fine. That's fine. So I'm sure.
Yes, I did mine also.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll go through the PHP. I'll go through the PHP control panel, the XAMPP control panel. There are some settings that everybody has to know. Every developer has to know when you are using the control panel. So I'll go through that side and see how we can make some changes in the configuration setups of the control panel, and how the control panel is also programmed to work. Ideally, anytime you want to use the control panel, you have to turn it on manually, but you can also set it in a way that it doesn't even go off. Initially, in the earlier versions of the control panel, the Apache, as soon as you initiate that setup, and the machine goes off and on, it automatically loads up. But these days, what we've realized is though you do the settings in there, but you have to manually turn it on anytime the machine goes off. You have to start that server before the other applications can run. And so I'll go in there. Let me see if I can run mine. I am using WAMP. But let me log on to one of our servers and share that screen so that I'll launch the control panel from that side. So let me see if I can share this screen too. Coming in. I'm new to this Teams presentation thing, so I'm trying to do one or two another sharing here. Let me see how best I can do that. Okay, share this. Okay, I have this. So I'm sure you can see the server. I'm on our .188 server now. So with this, I'm opening this control panel. I think it's even here. Okay. So I'm launching this control panel. And this is how it behaves. As soon as you finish installing, anytime you load it up, it won't open like a normal dialog. It opens in the tab. So you see, when I opened it, it has appeared over here in the tab. So if I need it, you want to tell me I have to right click on it and click on the show. So this is how your XAMPP control panel looks like. This is how your XAMPP control panel looks like. So you see, as soon as I launch it, it's already running. It is running on the port 80, and we have the action here as stop. It means it's already running. The ones that are not yet running, we have them to be start here. So how did I set this thing up? So after installing the XAMPP, after successfully installing the XAMPP, you go to the config here. You click on the config button here. Then this dialog pops up. Then you make sure you check. You see, we have here at the top, you have auto start models. So you make sure the ones that you want to start on load, as soon as you load the application, the ones that you want them to start, you take them. So basically, we are using the Apache and the MySQL. You get it? So you have to make sure these things are up and running. So after checking them, then you come here. I think by default, these two will be checked. They enable Tomcat output window. And this one, they'll be by default, they'll be checked, but we are not, that's not our concentration. Our focus is to click on this, check this box, start control panel, minimize. So it is because of this option. That is why when I started it, it was minimized in the tab, Okay. So by default, as I was saying, the earlier versions, anka, yes, setting way up and after setting this one up now and we saved, automatically, once this server goes off and comes up, automatically this control panel will also load up with these two services running, just as they are running at the background here. So that is how to just note it down and make sure you apply it on your control panel when we are done. Or I think two of us are Nicholas and Felix are not with their computers. So when you are done, you can just, I'm recording the screen, so when we finish, I'll share it among ourselves. Then we can now make sure you apply these patches, these updates on your control panel. Okay, so I have it already, so I won't click on it. So I'll just close it up. Then it may come a time that you might have installed an application that is already occupying some ports. The Tomcat, the default port 80 is allocated for Tomcat, and mostly the Apache and the Tomcat, they all fight for the same port 80. So it might come that I think Skype and other applications also fight for port 80. So whichever you install first, will try to occupy the port 80 first. So if you are faced with such scenario and you are now installing your XAMPP, means you have to change your port, else you have some errors throwing up here in this display. You have some errors throwing up here. All right. So when that happens and you want to change the port numbers, you click on the Apache. Then you go to config. When you click on the config, this main submenu opens up. Then you go to HTTPD config. Okay. Click on it. When you click on it, this notepad test editor will pop up. So over here in this test editor, you see we have hash symbols in front of these strings. Okay, these characters are all preceded with hash. Whenever you see a hash in this very test editor, it means comment. So this is how we comment in Notepad. Okay, in this test editor, that is how we comment in it. And here we don't have multiple line commenting, just as we'll be going through very soon in the PHP. So in here, every line has to be hashed. And so that is how it is. So when you open the file like this, you just search for the port. You just search for the port. So here, you see it's saying this application, is listening on port 80. So assuming you would want to give this port another port number, you just have to add it up here. Okay, you can add it up. You can add this, you can allocate this port to it, or you can even allocate something small to it. So this is how you do it. And make sure this very line is not preceded with any hash, else it means it has been commented, and the Apache application will not see it, and it will be throwing a lot of errors to you. Okay, so this is how we do it. When you are done, just click on save, and you go. When you click on save as the normal routine, or as a normal save as operation on the computer what do you call it, systems, it means you want to probably rename it or save it in a certain different location. So it is not advisable to use the save as when you are dealing with this very script, because this script, when is compromised or something, its results is catastrophic, because it might result in your XAMPP control panel not running effectively for you, which will in effect and also affect your application that you'll be developing. It might not even run. and you might end up reinstalling the XAMPP over and over and over again. So here you have to be very cautious when you are trying to make some changes in this file. Okay, so since we are in most of our applications are connected to Oracle, before you can do that, you need to also release some of the privileges here. You have to release. When you scroll down, you see OCI. I think the Oracle is OC something something. So when you scroll through, you see that side. Then you comment it. You uncomment it rather. Then it will now give you access to now connect to HT, what do you call them, Oracle successfully. So when we get there, we also cross that river. I was trying to check. So SSL, all right. So the SSL, if you want to activate SSL on your Apache, you have to make this one active. Then other things too, the session and cookies and other things. So this serves as the control panel. It's actually the control script for the Apache. But our focus here is on this line, the listening. That is what our focus is. So that is it for this script. Please, if you have any question, you just chip it in, because I can't really see the team screen, because since I'm presenting. So if I have any question, just chip it in. I'll pause, then we flow through. Then we have another one called the initiation file, which I hardly play with this file. I hardly play with it. I only come here when I have to come, which I hardly also come. So that is it. I think so. You see here, we have something new here. You see, we have the semicolon here being replaced with the hash symbol. So it means, in a way. Okay, so it means in a way we can also replace the hash key with the hash symbol with the semicolon, which represents the same commenting. That is how I understand this side, because you can only do this thing with a comment characters. So that is how this one is. So another one that we've also learned now is the commenting in the text editors. You can use either the hash symbol or the semicolon. All right. So we proceed. Over here, I wouldn't even want us to play over here, because myself, I don't really come here like that. Hey, so the control panel. So this is the control panel. These are the two things I'll have. There's another one here, the logs. The logs, as we all know, displays if there are any crashes in our application, the logs are all here. So as long as you launch the control panel, every single state, what happens in there, if there's any error, this is where you can trace them. So the OCI I was talking about, you see, since we are connected to the Oracle services, you see, we have I'm sure these dates, May 17th, 08, Monday, May 7th, 2001. Sorry, 2021. We had an issue here on the probably we're trying to connect to the Oracle. We had an issue there, so there's a trigger here. So this is not different from our login interface that we see in our other applications that we work with, like the Oracle and the others. Okay, so this is its side, its brother in PHP. I call it in the Apache control panel. So that is it. So it has others. So we have the access logs, we have the error logs, we have the PHP error logs. So depending on which one you want to access your error from, then you can just use them. But as I will continue saying, me myself, I don't really come here that much. Whatever error that comes out from this one, as soon as these plugs are connected and they are running, I don't have any issue with it, unless probably I want to change a port number. That is when I come to the config side. So this is it for the environment, the control panel environment. So I'll close this one. And this is actually that because of this setup, these settings here, even if I close this one, it will still be running in the background. When I come here, I'll still see the control panel over here, because we say it should start minimize. So as well, even if you close it, it has been programmed in a way that it will never close as a normal dialog box will close or a directory will close. So it will just be automatically be minimized down here for you. So that is it for the XAMPP. And for the first time, if we install the XAMPP for the first time, let me use this server for the other way. If you install the XAMPP for the first time and you want to test it, hello? Okay, please, Nicolas, do you want to ask any question? All right. Okay, and I think it was probably an error. All right, so once we have installed the XAMPP, we have to test it and see if the installation was successful. And to do that, we just open any of your browser that you are using. But before, make sure you have already started your XAMPP in the control panel, just as we did. So when you are starting it, you can run it in an administrator mode. So when you right click on it, then you click on run as administrator. That is a perfect mode you can run your XAMPP. Else, I don't know, it might deny you from some services. But when you run it as an administrator, it gives you the full privileges to use it. So make sure you have launched it and it's running. Once that one is done, then you come to your browser, then you type localhost. So localhost. This one, you've programmed them to pick a default directory. So localhost, then let's say PHP my admin. So PHP my admin, sorry. I want to pick this. So when you enter localhost, then /PHP my admin, or let me try localhost then XAMPP. I want to see if it will take me to the very home page. PHP XAMPP. Okay, it wouldn't take me here. Over here, we have done several configurations on this server. That's why it's not giving me what I want. But when you type the localhost like XAMPP, it should open a home page for you. It should open a home page for you. So when I try the PHP my admin, it should open the database, the MySQL structure, the interface for you. And this is how it should look like. Okay, it should open this structure for you. Okay, so you will come here. You will definitely come here. But so if you run it on your browser, and you don't see such successful screens, then it means there's something that you have to consider again. Okay, there's something that you have to check. That is it for that side. So all right. So that is it. So I'll go back to our this thing, the other presentation that I was doing earlier. So this was just to show you the environment of the control panel. All right. So I'll close it. For the database, there will come the full name. So this is just an highlight. All right. So I'll share this screen here. All right. So with this one, please hold on. With this one, it is saying that in order to develop and run PHP web pages, three vital components needed to be installed on your computer. We have the web server. And the web server is talking about the Apache server, which we have already done. And the database, PHP will work with virtually all databases, including Oracle, blah, blah, blah. So when you install the Apache, automatically you have kind of installed your database, your MySQL database. So that is it. Then we have already installed what do you call it, an IDE, the PHP Storm. So the PHP Storm will help us as a PHP parser. In order to process PHP script instructions, a parser must be installed to generate HTML output that can be sent to the web browser, which we have already done that. So the PHP Storm that we installed serves as the parser, which will help us, generate the HTML output in our browser. So we have done all these ones. Okay. The other side, installing the PHP parser, these sides are not necessary. You go to this side, they are not that necessary. We have already installed them. PHP, the PHP Storm already has done this one for us. So the Apache configuration, I think we've gone there, but you can also play with it. We have the PHP ini file configuration here. You can also play with this and bear your own risk. So that's one there. You can read more to know more about that side. So we are done with our environment setup. So now let's go to the syntax overview. However, I like it. It's a syntax overview. So we'll be having lots of syntaxes, but I think this one's giving us a general overview of how the PHP syntaxes, also works. So in PHP, our focus here in this presentation will focus on this main tag. That's all, nothing else. This is the best one. The short open here, this one when you run it, mostly some browsers do not pick it. So preferably, I would advise that we always use this. Okay. Sometimes if they are running the application, if you are coding and your script is in all PHP, sometimes you don't really need to add this closing tag here, this closing PHP tag here. Right. So for example, if I move to, can I change screens? This thing. All right. So please, I'm coming, Share. If you come here, if you come to my ID, my PHP store, I have the open tag here. But I don't have the close tag, but it can work. That's what I'm saying. If all the scripts I'm coming to put here are all in PHP, there's no really need for me to bring the closing tag, because since the page is this page is created in PHP with a PHP extension, the browser or the IDE, sees it to be all PHP scripts. And when you have that one, you don't necessarily have to bring the closing tag. But if, let's say, I have embedded it in HTML, or I have embedded HTML in this page or in this file, then it means I have to end it somewhere and allow the other HTML tags to also flow in. So when that one sets in, then you need to bring your closing tag. So you see, our IDE, the PHP Storm has underlined this one that when I hover on it, it tells me redundant closing tag. So that's what I mean by if everything here is PHP, then this closing tag becomes redundant. But let's say if I bring in an HTML tag in here, it won't underline this one as redundant. Okay. If it does too, then fine. But let's see. If it does, then the other alternative setting. But if it doesn't, then it means we are through. Okay, so let me say I've closed this one and I want to introduce a PH and an HTML. So you see, as I started with the HTML, doc type, HTML, this. And say HTML. I'm not going into details. Let me just close this one. So let's say I want to introduce, fine. Even with this, you see now this closing tag here, the closing tag of the PHP is no more redundant. It is now useful. So the underline warning is off now. Do you get it? So that is what I want to mean. So if you are right, if your script that you are putting here are all in PHP, then you don't really have to bring in this what do you call it, closing tag for the PHP. But if and only if you want to embed some other scripts in it that are not PHP, then you have to necessarily bring the open and the closing tag. That is what I want to mean by that side. So let me go back to the other web page. Flip it like that, share, and continue from there. All right, so back to this page. So it's saying the canonical PHP tags. The most universally effective PHP tag style is this. enriches that. So I would advise that in this class, let's all adapt to this. If in the future you want to explore and you want to use these ones, then you can also use it without any hassle. At a point you can use it, but not all the browsers picks it up. So I wouldn't advise that you use it. Else you might think your codes are not running, but some of the servers are not that strong to read all those things. So these were the ASP style tag. We don't need it, so we wouldn't spend much time on that side. So HTML script tags. So okay, HTML script tag looks like script language PHP. Then you put your PHP in there. Okay, so fine. We don't need that one now. So let's go to the commenting. So the commenting, as it runs through all programming languages. The commenting as it runs through all programming languages. In C, we have its own. Okay, in C and C#, C++, we have. Do I even remember? Double commenting, the forward slash. I stand to be corrected. Nicholas, I think you updated with the C++. So kindly help out. The commenting in C++, does it follow the double forward slash? And the
double
one
forward slash.
so it's the same thing. Then we have the
Double forward slash.
and the multi line is the forward slash asterisk forward slash. Abby, I think so. So it's the same thing that. Okay, that's fine. So it's the same thing that also runs here in PHP. What makes PHP flexible is PHP kinds of combine all other traditional programming languages and CASA, their strengths, and combines them to make it more flexible for developers. Yeah, that is so. When you are doing PHP, you realize you can have a feel of C in it, you can have a feel of C++ in it, you can have a feel of other languages, that other traditional old languages. You can feel them in it. Okay, so that is what makes it so nice. So you see something that runs through all of them with more flexibility in the PHP, because PHP, you don't need to be declaring some variables. Yeah, you don't need to be declaring some variables. Just as if you are doing VB, you have to declare some var something. Dim VB is dim. Then the variable name, the data type follows, and a whole lot of things. If you forget one of them or if you mix them up, it's a catastrophe in your programming. So with PHP, you don't need to really define a variable. So when it goes to variable, you also appreciate how the variable works. So let's play around the commenting in our code. So I'll share that other screen. Share the other screen for us to play around the comments. So commenting in PHP. So let me clear this and paste what was in the browser. So the commenting, this is how the commenting is. So commenting, as we all know, we have single commenting and we have the multiple line commenting, right? So in PHP, we have three, from what you are seeing here, we have three types of commenting. Mode of comment, let me say three mode of commenting, not the types. The types have only two, but the mode of applying the two. That's what I'm talking about. We have three sets. So you can use the hash to also comment. You can use the double forward slash to also do the single line commenting. Okay, then we can also do the forward slash asterisk for the multiple line commenting. All right, so whatever I put in here is also treated as comment. So that is how it is for multiple line. All right, or better still, you can also do this with the same multiple line. You can also have forward slash, then I type in my things, whatever I type, then end it. This one too is another mode. So we have these three. So let's run this in our browser and see. So in the PHP Storm, I'll come here to also walk you through how to also run and merge this PHP Storm to your XAMPP that we've installed. Okay, just after the comment, I'll pause and come there. I should have done that one in the environment area. So I'll come and walk us through this PHP Storm environment. Okay, So when you want to run this one, running this script in your browser can be done in two ways. One is when you hover your mouse here at the top right corner on the document window. This is the document window. The text area is the document window. So when you hover over here, you can see the browsers listed up. So the browser that you have installed on your machine, you just click on it and automatically the page will load into it. Or you right click on anywhere on the text area, the documents window, then you hover on you just hover on the open in browser, then the same browsers will list up here. So the ones that you have also installed and you are conversant with, you just open it, click on it, and it will load up. So I'm clicking on the Chrome. So as I click on the Chrome, you wait, your Chrome browser will load up. Then you have this. All right. So I'm having this page, bad gateway, because by default, my server has been defaulted to 63342, which is not what I'm using. I'm on port 80, so I have to clear this port from my the URL and hit enter. Then I have what I want to show. So this is the only thing that were not that the string that was not commented. That is why I'm seeing it here like this. Okay, so if we should go back to the code, so you have all these lines here, because they are commented, they didn't show up. But because we have this one here to be printed out to the browser, that is why we only saw this one. So these forms of, we can bring the hash, the single, double forward slash, then these multiple lines and commenting. These are the various forms of commenting in PHP. If there are any, you can share among us. Then we also update our knowledge on them. So that is it for the commenting. So let's say if I should uncomment this one. You see, I have an error here. Let's run it on our browser and see how this error will be treated. So I'll just reload it. Good. We have an error. There's an error on line 3. So let's go and see. Yes, please.
I think we are not seeing your browser. I don't know if I'm the only person. But then the browser. Yes.
You're not seeing the browser, eh?
Yes.
Then means I have to be. I don't know. These things I don't know how to flip through simple. I have to just close one and move to the other one. So sorry. Let me see how best I can do that. So I'll close this one. I'll close. Is there a way I can do multiple sharing of screen in Teams? It's only one at a time. Okay, share this. So this is the error that I had. This was the error that I had when I uncommented the line 3. So that was commented with a hash. So this is the error that I had. Okay, so now I'll go back to the code. I'll go back to the code and comment it back again. And we will see what will also be displayed. So back to the code. I have to end this. Another one. So in the code, this is the line 3. So let me just show. In PHP, if you want to show the lines of your line numbering of your codes, when you right click on this space, this very space, in between this space and this space, when you right click here in this open space and you click on show line numbers, you have it here. Definitely when you go through this navigation tools here to the menu up here, you definitely see show line numbers. I think, let me see view. When I go to view, do I see show line numbers? Navigation bar active. Okay, when it comes to view and you go to active editors, you see show line numbers here. So there are two ways. Either you go here or you use the shortcut. The shortcut is just right clicking over here and it will show. All right, so this is what I did. I took this comment off and it's showing this error for me. So if we had treated this as a string and we have printed it, so to display any tangible thing to the browser, it's either you use print or echo. in this tutorial, they are using print. I also introduce another side. That is the echo. You can also use var dump, depending on what you are doing at that time. When you are dealing with JSON and other objects, and you want to display it in a way, you use the var dump to do it. Sometimes you use the print R, and sometimes you use the print. So there are different types in a different way that you can display. You can display those strings in your browser depending on the state and which one you have to use at that point in time. So I'll bring the comment back, the hash back. That line is commented and there is no error. So I'll save it and go back to. So in this case, it means that all these options from line 3 to line 19, line 20 will not be displayed. Only line 21 will be displayed. That is what this side means. Okay, so I'll share the other side. I'll share the other screen. Then this screen. So this was the old one. So I'll reload it. And we have the line 21 displaying. So that is there for that side. So let's go to the strings. So let's try to print the first one too and see how that one will look like, and let's see how we can arrange it in a certain order. So I'll share the code, the IDE PHP Storm. Now I'll share that one now. Then we see. So now we want to print this first line too. So we are using the echo to print it, and for every string, it's either you use the double quotation, the double quote, or single quote to depict a string, right? So if you want to, let's say, display this one, you type echo, then we bring a double quote, then we copy these characters into it, then we terminate the line. Terminating the line, if it had been that on this page, this is the only line in the page, then the terminator would have been necessary. Okay, the terminator here is the semicolon. Just as in some of the languages, you also need to terminate your lines, like C++ and C. You have to terminate your lines. So it's the same thing that works over here. In order to end every line in PHP, you need to terminate it, end with the terminator, just as the others. So the semicolon represents the terminator, right? So I'll save this one and load it up. So let's save it and run it in our browser. So save, then you run it in the browser. So let me share that screen too. So let me share this one. Then I'll right click and reload. So they are all appearing on the same line, even though they are all on separate lines in their script, but they are all appearing over here as a one line. So if you want to separate them, we can either introduce a break tag in it, right? So that it will push them to separate lines, right? Like the wrapping, like we are wrapping it, word wrap. We are bringing it down to the next line, right? So I'll share the other ones. This sharing, add background. So, all right, the code. All right. So now we want to break this line, right? So the break now, we will introduce a tag. This tag is an HTML tag that we are deploying here. So it's a BR, the break, then your /. So this is the break tag. Okay. Since we have introduced and the funny thing is, when you are embedding HTML in PHP, you don't need to, hassle yourself. You just bring it wherever you want to bring it. Okay. Just as I introduced this one, I introduced the tag in here. But if you are in PHP, let's say if you are in HTML and you want to bring PHP into HTML, like the opposite way, you know, then that is where you have to bring the opening and the closing tag of PHP. Else, when the browser is reading it, it will read it as a normal text. That is how it means. So I've introduced this new tag here, the break tag, which will help us, you know, break the lines. Meaning this one, this is a comment end. This is a comment end, no, will appear on the first line on the web browser, on the web page. Then an example with single line comment here will appear on the next line. That is what this I means. So I'll save it. Then you go to the browser to check what we have done. So when I right click and load, exactly what you want it to do. So the break tag, no, that is what it does. Whenever you want to break a line, when you want to make any text comes to appear on the next line, we use the break tag to do that. So that is the functionality of the br/tag. And that one, the break is a single one. We don't have it open or end. It's by in itself, and it's an open and end itself. So that is how that side also works. All right. So now we have done we have virtually done strings too, and we have done the sorry, we have done strings, we have done printout, and we have done breaking the line, and we have done comments all in one now. Okay, so we can proceed. But before we proceed, I'll take this time to also walk us through this PHP environment, the PHP Storm environment, right? So since you just installed your application, and we have our XAMPP installed as well, all our web applications are supposed to be kept in a certain container for the browser to be for them to be noticed by the browser. Else, it will read them as a text with some different path to it, which might not even run. It's either it will run or not run. The only directory which the browser accepts in Apache, okay, in Apache is the htdocs. When you are running this thing, WAMP, when you're running WAMP, the only directory is the www directory in the some 64, and I think in the WAMP 64 directory. So that is it. So to locate your XAMPP, no, in your directory, okay, in your directory, no, if you want to locate your XAMPP, you go to for me, I'm using the WAMP. So let me also bring back the server. I'll bring back the server and share that server so that my narration will be very equal to what you have. So I'll share the server screen. All right. So I want to locate the htdocs on your computer. So on your computer, you go to, okay, let me close this. When you load your computer, your window key plus the E, or when you load your folder, this folder, then you go to drive C. So when you click drive C, you locate XAMPP, the XAMPP folder. When you click on this folder, then you search for htdocs. htdocs. When you click on the htdocs, all the applications that you have developed will be located in here. So when you see this one, we have the dashboard which should be deleted. Some of the files here are supposed to be deleted, but the EPA test. So this EPA test is what we have done. That is the application that the account people are doing live testing on it. Meanwhile, it's in the test environment. No, this is it. Okay, and this is the previous updated version. And the live version of the SIC live thing, no, SIC e-payment, this is the folder. So when I click on this folder, all the necessary files are all listed in here. Okay, it will come here very soon. It will be here very soon. So if I take this project out here and keep it somewhere in another folder and I want to run it, it will not run. It won't run. Cry. It might not even open. Cry, and I say it will open, but it might not run effectively for you. Okay, so that is how it is. So this is the container where all your web applications will be kept when you are running control. When you're running the XAMPP, when you are running the well, let's say if I've installed WAMP 2, WAMP 2 has its own container that also that you keep your files in. Okay, so I'll just minimize this one and come back to it later. So on the share. Right. So let me minimize this and come back to it later. So let me go to my computer. Share this. So share this. So now this file, when I want to, okay, I said I'm running WAMP. So for the WAMP, when I come here, I have to search for WAMP 64. So when you're running the WAMP, you have to search for this. So this one is in the Apache, or let's say in the XAMPP. This one is the XAMPP, but in the WAMP, this is our WAMP 2. When I click on it, then I also search for a certain folder called www. This one. So this one is simple. Just as you know, www stands for the web now. You only come here and all your applications will be kept in here. When I go here, all applications I've developed are all listed up here. All projects are all listed in that directory. So that is same as the Apache. So now what I'm going to do now is going to connect this. You're going to go through how to connect your I'm going to connect the project that we are going to do. No, if it is a new project or the existing project, or for precisely a new project. So if let's say you are creating a new project and you want to keep the new project in that folder, how are you going to do it? That is what I'm going to walk through now. So with that one, you click on the file, you click on file, then you go to new project. So when you click on a new project, this dialog pops up. For the first time, this link here, this location here wouldn't be this. It will be C user something. But you have to change it to this one. So how do you do that? On the location side, on the location field, you see at the end here some 3 dots here. These 3 dots are just symbolic, and it runs through all applications. Whenever you see these 3 dots, it means like click on it. It's a button that you've clicked. You have to click on it. So when I click on it, this another dialog pops up, and I have to navigate to where I want to save it. Where I want to save it. So with this platform, for example, I will search for the WAMP64. So like I'll go to C and I search for WAMP64. You will be rather searching for XAMPP. Then I expand this one. Then I also search for www and I click on it. Okay. So as soon as I click on it, that's all. So yours will be the htdocs. When I click on the htdocs, then I click on OK. Then that's all. I have it here. Right. Then the project name. So the project name, as soon as you key in the project name, automatically that directory is created inside this container, the www.com container or directory or folder. So as soon as I clear this one, then I enter hello world. Oh, okay. Hello dev group. This is the folder I want to put my project in. Okay. So when I click on this, so now it means I've set the path, the location to and the htdocs. Okay, I've set it to the htdocs now. Then I click on OK. Yours is the htdocs, mine is www. So when you see www here, it shouldn't confuse you. Okay, so I have set the folder no to hello underscore dev underscore group grp. Okay, then I click on OK. The project type should be empty. There should be nothing in there. All right. So when I click on OK, subsequently, when you come back to continue your project or something, or to create a new project, you wouldn't be expected to change location again, because by default it will pick this one. It will pick the location that you set to it, unless probably you want to change your location. Else it will only be necessary for you to be changing the path. Since you are doing a web application, it will be running from that side. Okay. So that is, unless probably when we start doing Python doesn't pick its files from the www. It also has its CIS or CSI something or CB something. It has its directory that you also dump the files in to be read by the browser. And so when it gets there, then it means that is when we'll be changing our location path. Else we maintain this location path throughout the project. Then you click on OK. So when you click on OK and you have an already open project, this dialog will pop up, requesting that do you want to open the project that you are creating in this very window or in a new window. So I click on, let's say, new window. My new window has opened, but I have to share that screen before you can see. So I'll share the new window screen. Is it this? Yeah, there's it. So this is the page I just created. This is a page I just created. And it's an empty project. It's an empty project that I've also created as well. So you have to now put in your content, your index, your other scripts, or your other files that you want to create in there. You are the one who have to put all of them in here, right? So in doing that, for the first time for as you just install the browser, the ID, this toolbox, the toolbar here wouldn't be displaying. So to show that one, you have to click on View, then click on Toolbar. If it is not selected, you click on Toolbar, then it will be activated so that you see the buttons here. Toolbar or two buttons. Okay, so let me just click on it. So you say I click on it and it's off. So this is how now your PHP Storm is expected to look like. So when you click on the view and you go to toolbar, then they will come. Okay, the toolbar plays a major role in your programming with the PHP Storm, right? So now with this one, if you want to now, let's say, create a new file, a new PHP file or HTML file, to do that, you want to create them inside this very directory or folder. Okay, so in doing that, you have to right click on, make sure this folder is active. Active means you've clicked on it and you have the blue background indicator. So when you right click on it, then you go to new. So when you go to new, then you can now click on the PHP file, or if the folder that you want to create, if there's another directory that you want to create within it, you click on the directory, or if it is a file, PHP file, you click on it. If it's a PHP classes, you click on it. HTML, same thing as the others. So now, if you want to, let's say, create a PHP file, you click on PHP file, then this dialog comes. Then the dialog extension is defaulted to PHP because you said you want to create a PHP file. Let's say you want to change this PHP extension. When you click on the drop down button here, icon here, you have other extensions that you can create your application in, depending on which one you are using. So by default, I'll leave the extension to PHP, right? I'll leave the extension to PHP. Then I'll set the file name. So the file name can be any name, but it is advisable that your web project should either have a default file called an index or home. But currently, I think we have migrated from the home file to index, though they perform the same function. Every browser searches for the index. When it doesn't find the index, then it will load all your files in that directory, which is also not secured. Do you get it? So it's advisable that at least the page that you want to use as your home page or as a first screen when your users visits your site, you should name it the index. Okay, that is advisable. That's why mostly across board, across all platforms, you see the first screen named either home or index. Okay, good. So here I'll name it index to follow the traditional naming sequence. Then I'll click on OK. Because once I click on OK, I have the file opened. Okay, I have the file opened. And by default, PHP will bring this signature for you. This signature, it gives you the ownership of the code that you are producing. Okay, so it's created by PHP Storm. The user is SIC. That's the name of my machine. Then the date this file was created will be indicated here, the time as well. All right. So this is a blank slate, the clean slate that will be given to you. And this is where now you begin to pour your logics in. Do you get it? So as I was saying earlier, on the comment on the PHP tags, you see by default, as it opened, it didn't bring the closing PHP tag here because the script, the page is by default a PHP script. That is why. Okay. So now, if you want to change this name, this directory, probably you did a spelling mistake and you want to change it. It can be done in one way. You click on it because now you have several files here and you want to work on this first one, the main directory, the project name. You right click on it, then you do a refactor. So you do refactor, so you search for refactor. When you come here, then you see the rename. When you click on the rename, then it will ask you, do you want to rename the directory itself or you want to rename the project itself? The advice is do the two. If you are changing the directory name, then you should change the project name as well. They all have to be the same, else you might experience some inconsistencies in your project when you are running them. So it's advisable that if you want to change, yes, please.
Yes. Can you go a little back on why you need to do the refactoring? I think you said something, but I didn't get that part.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So let me go back. So assuming, let's say, you've made a mistake in naming your project, the project title or giving a project name. No, you made a mistake in it. How do you go by it? You go by it by first making sure, say, the project name or where you want to or what you want to, the name that you want to change, is being selected. Okay, it's being selected means like making it active. Making it active is like clicking on it to make it active. So after clicking on it, then you right click on it as well. You can do it straightforward. Let's say I'm in index and I want to change the name of the project. Okay, change the name of project. I have to search for a certain tool called refactor. Okay, so I want to change the name here, but not in the index. I just have to right click on it straightforward. Then I'll search for the refactor. When I search for it, another sub menu will pop up. Then I'll click on the rename. Okay, so the refactor is used to rename files, in PHP Storm. That is what the refactor tool is used for. Anytime I want to rename, even the index, if I want to rename it, I'll right click on it and go to the refactor, then go to rename. All right. If we were to be in a working from the direct folder, and we right click on it to rename something, it's straightforward. When you right click, you see rename, then you click on it, then you are through. But here you have to follow the process. Right click on it, go to refactor, then this small dialog will pop up. Okay. So when it pops up like this, and that was why I was saying, say, it will ask you which of the directory did you make a mistake, or do you want to change the name? It will set you, say, okay, do you want to rename the directory or you want to rename the project? And I was saying it is advisable that you rename the two. You don't rename the directory and leave the project, or you don't rename the project and leave the directory. When you do it that way, it will affect the running, the effective run of your project in your browser. It will come and it will be confused in a way. So it's not advisable to do that. Perhaps you can explore and try that one and see what will happen. Then you will appreciate the error. Okay. Now in a presentation, it will be expensive for us to try that one. So I wouldn't try. So I'll just give the caution. But in your leisure time, you can, try that one out and see how it will behave. Then, you also add it up to your notes. So let's say now I want to change the directory. Now I want to remove the grp from it. Then that's called grp from it. So I'll just, leave this selected, this radio button selected, and I click on OK. Then it comes this way. Then I'll just, clear the underscore grp. Then I'll now click on the refactor. The refactor is English. I think we have to search it in Google or any dictionary to know the meaning of refactor. So it is there. So I just have that it like that. I've not bothered to search the meaning of refactor. Probably we can search it by ourselves. So I'll click on refactor to sync it. So it has created. Now I have to go back here. You see the issue it is creating now. So you see I have this one, but the project name is still this. And the directory is this. So when I run this one, that is where the challenge will come. It will be, confusing. So I right click on it again and go back to the refactor, click on the rename and go to project now. Okay, I've done the directory. So I'll go to project now and I click on OK. Then I'll take this one out, the underscore grp out, then click on OK. Better. So now I have the two changed. I have the project name changed and I have the directory name changed as well. So that is what we have done now. Okay. So what else do we have to know in here? I think we've done the basic ones. We've gone through the basic ones. Okay. These are normal save. This is when you want to open a project. This open here, the open icon here. When you have several projects and you want to navigate from, when you click on this, let's say you have done a certain project and you want to go and pick some component from that side, right? So when you click on it, this dialog opens up. Then you navigate to where you want to pick the project from. So let's say I go to my WAMP, then I go to the www and pick something from here, and I click on it, and it will ask me these things. It will ask me this same dialog that came earlier on. Then I can choose to run it from here, or I can choose to run from a new window. So that is how it is. Then the save. This is the save button. Save all, Control S, save all, and this is synchronize. So if we have done something and want to save, we have to synchronize them. Synchronize them to pick up the new updates. Then we save. Then this is forward and undo and redo. Undo and redo. Then this is the cut symbol. And this is copy, as well as this is paste. Then this is search. So when your code becomes lengthy and you want to search for a certain variable or a certain characters or something, use this search to do it. And if you want to replace a text, let's say you want to replace all variables with a name Kofi, you use this second one to do it. All right. So let's say PM, there's PM here, and I want to rename it. So when I click on this, it will come here PM. How do I want to rename it to? I just click on this one and make it PM, lowercase. Then I click on replace all. Replace all means you should place all capital PMs in the code. But replace means it will hit on only this one. It will replace this first one and do it kakran till it ends. So when I click on replace all, I've changed the PM to lowercase PM. So that is it for this side. Okay. Then this one is back. If this one is back, this one before it. So that is how it is. So these other things are probably not necessary. I've never used this side before. I mostly use from the replace to the open. And so that is it for this side. So If you need space when you are coding on your documents window here and you need more space, you can also hide this project, menu. You can hide it by clicking on it. It will go off to give you a larger size. Okay. And if everything is configured well, you can also connect your database in here. Sometimes you want to do this. You don't want to be going to the browser to the MySQL to be doing changes and making it sync to this one. You will just want to bind everything together in this very interface so that you wouldn't be doing screen moving or screen traversing between screens. So you can click on this and deal with connect your database to this project. So when you click on it, you use this, you fill this form, all right? So database by default is this, and the port is 3306. Just leave it like that. That's the MySQL port. Then you bring your database name here. Then the username on the database and the password, you bring them here. Then you test it. So when you test the connection and it's okay, then you just apply. Click on the apply, then okay, then you are through. So that is it for that side. We will come here when we start doing the databases and linking them together and therefore. So that is how it is. So you can just it's a one-stop. This PHP Storm is a powerful tool that we used in developing these web applications. And the company that develops this PHP Storm is the IntelliJ. And now it looks like they are now in control of all the IDEs that we use these days, starting from Ruby on Rails, Java, PHP. We have Python too. They have Python. They have Android Studio, then the Flutter and other things. They have a whole lot of. I think they've taken dominion on the IDEs, and they are good. They are good because those days that were using Eclipse and other the one for Java. I've forgotten the name. NetBeans. The NetBeans that we were using, assessing their responsiveness and how flexible they were. No, I think the IntelliJ packages are more flexible than them. So that is it. So these features runs through all the applications. So they make programming very, very, very simple and very fun to do. Okay, so this is a simple run through I can give currently on the PHP Storm. I think as time goes on and we start, the hack into it, when we start doing serious application to it, we will appreciate some new things from it. Right. So I'll close it and return back to the web page that we're going through. So I think let me bring this one here. Okay, so we were here. We were commenting, and I think we've gone through a lot of these comments. Let me see if we can. Case sensitive. PHP is also case sensitive. So let's copy this test here. Oh, this is HTML. Let's just copy the PHP side and test how case sensitive PHP is. So I'll again share the other screen and we come back to this. So we are saying PHP is case sensitive. So I'll clean this one and now paste this one here. We are saying PHP is case sensitive, right? So now, why is it case sensitive? When you say something is case sensitive, it means when the thing is capital, when the thing is capital, this capital and dollar capital equal to 67. This is a variable. In PHP, every word or every character that you see being preceded with a dollar sign is a variable. Every word that you see. So wherever you see anything not in a string, it can be embedded in a string, but with different concatenations. You can concatenate them in a string, but when they are alone and you see a dollar being preceded with anything, it's a variable. It's treated as a variable. Okay, so when you see it in a string, probably then it is not well defined. But variables are being preceded, are all characters that are being preceded with a dollar sign. So when we see these things, this dollar sign, this variable that you see also follow the ASCII patterns. Okay, so capital C has its own ASCII number, and small c has its own ASCII number. So when you write a variable, define a variable in lowercase, and you define the same name in uppercase, they are not the same. That is what we mean by case sensitive. All right. So let's run this one. Let's run this very string here. Variable capital is this. Then variable capital, like with capital cases and other things. Let's run it and see how this very variable content 67 will be displayed for us. Then I'll come back here. All right. So I'll save this one. I'll save it. Then run it in our browser. So let me share another screen. Please, if you are tired, you can draw my attention so that we pause for some 2 minutes, then we come back to continue. Else, the flow, energy or so I'll reload this page. Then you see we have an error, and the error is on line 7. Okay, so it's saying undefined variable C, capital C, small a, capital P, small I, capital T, small a, capital L. All right, so it is saying it is different from the capital in lower cases. This depicts the case sensitivity in PHP, right? So now let's go back to the code and let's see why that is happening. So in the code, we realize that this capital is not even defined. All right, it's not even defined. So let's say I now bring this capital, I copy it and bring it under here and assign it to, let's say 76, and I terminate it. Right. So now let's see. It's the same capital, but in different cases. One is in lowercase, the other one is mixed cases. Right. So now let's save and run this one and see how the case sensitivity will also take effect here. So the browser. So now I load it. So now we see the difference. So this is what you mean by PHP is case sensitive. PHP is case sensitive because they all follow the ASCII standards. They all follow the ASCII standards, right? So in the future, when you are defining a certain variable and you make that mistake to bring capital something somewhere and you are calling a different variable, you might end up, facing an error, another type of an error. This one could be syntax error. Okay, you'll be facing syntax error, which might confuse you in trying to troubleshoot it. So you just have to note say PHP is case sensitive. All right. So let's continue from that side. So we've now understood it. Then statements and expressions terminated by semicolons. We have done that. Running PHP script, we have done that. Okay, fine. So it takes us to the next item, variable types. We go to variable types. So for the variable types in PHP, we have 8 data types. 8 data types, and we have the integers, double, booleans, null, strings, arrays, objects, resources. Basically, personally, these are the ones that I use a lot. The integers, double, boolean, null, and strings and arrays. These are the ones I use a lot. Objects, unless I'm doing APIs, that is why I create objects. These resources, I mean, usually try and make sure that I've used, okay, like such as database connections. Okay, then it means I also use I use all of them in a way, but the ones I use most are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6, those are the ones I use most. Okay, so this one, there's also saying a special variable that holds references to resources external to PHP, connection strings. These are resources. Okay, so these are the ones that you use. So you use these ones, the resources, when you are, creating a connection strings in PHP. That's connects you to, let's say, your database and other things. So, but the ones that you'll be playing along with are these ones, integers, and this one you can't run away from them. All right. So we'll go into details when we start doing the serious coding. Right. So the others we can read it. The integer, they are trying to explain what we have here, the top there. No? So these are that they are not that challenging. So yeah, variable scope. There, okay. So here we have as it is in other programming languages. As it is in the other programming languages, we have local variable declarations, and we have global variable declaration. We have static variables, and we have function parameters. Okay, these ones we will also deal with them going forward. Functions, we'll be creating lots of functions. And when you're creating functions comes with these global and local variables. Some functions are there that you need to define all variables locally, and some others are there that you have to do global variable declaration and things. The meaning of the local and the global variables are this. Let me just go straight to the code and walk us through how these things are defined. So variables. Let me end this one and go to this list. Go to the code. All right. So we are coming to do variables. Okay. So the caption here is variables. Sorry. And we are saying we are coming to do local variables. Now, all right. So let's say you are doing. I just define a variable called then let's say variable var1 var num1 is equal to let's say 10. This local variable is going to be used in a certain block. Okay, it will be better I start with let's say functions. Let me start with functions first, then that one will be helpful. So let me start with functions. So a function has a function name and their parameters. So let's say I have this function called var num1. I've defined the function. This is the syntax for function. So I have the block, the function block, okay, and this is an open function. I'm not going to put any parameters in here. All right. Then I declare a variable here called let's say $num1 is equal to 20. I terminate it. All right. Then I go to, let's say, $num2. Then I assign it to, let's say, 30. These variables have been declared locally. Sure. They've been declared locally because it can be accessible only in this block, only in this var num1 function. These are locally declared. Okay. So if I bring another variable here called, let's say, but in PHP, when you're declaring a global variable, you bring the reserved word global. Then let's say you bring add. Let's say the variable name is add me. Then I terminate it. Okay. So this add me here has been declared as a global variable, and this global variable can be used in this function. But this very local one, the num1 cannot be used outside this block because this one has been defined within this context. So this is a local variable. Likewise, this one. So the num1, num2, they are all local variables, but this is a global variable. I think we get it. So the definition is for global variables, they can be accessed anywhere in the script, in your code, everywhere, anywhere you can define it. Sorry, you can use it anywhere in your code. But for the local variables works in a certain bounded blocks. Okay, so in a function which where we have these blocks set in, you can define your every variable that's defined in the serves as a local variable that works within that blocks. Okay, that ends. So this end here, this curly braces, within this curly braces, every variable we define in here works locally. Okay, so that is how it works. So with the global one, I can just come here and say add me. The add. Okay, Nicholas says his internet is worrying him, so probably might be on and off very soon. Anyway, so if I want to use the add me here, see, add me is equal to this. Okay, add me is equal to what do you call it? Hey, Tony, sorry, Tony, do you want to? Tony, you can talk. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out something with respect to the global variable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this global variable, you're saying it is accessible throughout. I mean, in this particular script, is it possible? Is there another variable which is global that is accessible throughout the whole? How do I put it? Maybe like have two different files, the index and another file. Can you have a particular global variable that is accessible in any of the files, like global as in global, not only global with respect to maybe index, but with the website itself or the web app itself? Is there a possibility of having a global variable that is accessible at the application level? I mean, in total.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you very much for that thing. So in when you have different files, to the best of my knowledge, you wouldn't be able to define a global variable in one file, and you want it to be accessible in a different file. But you can define a variable in a different file as global on on another file. For example, if let's say we have two files here. Okay, if let's say we have two files here, let me create another one here. This one, let me just complete this one and add just say this. So let's say I have this one. We have another file that we are creating here, PHP. Then I define a certain variable here. Okay, and I want to call, I want to access this very variable. Let's say CONN, connection. Then I say string connect me. This is a variable. If I want to access this variable in here, first I'll have to include this very page, the addition on this very file. Okay, I have to include this file here. By that one, I'll do, let's say I'll bring this reserve word here to include the addition here to PHP. So when you bring this one here, now it is assumed that this whole content has been declared up here. So it's when you see this one, it means that this all the content in the addition file is loaded up here. Then you can now define a certain global variable in here, and it will work on this page as well. So that is where we can apply what you are saying, you know.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, so in the future, when we implement the connection strings, the connection files, which connects our project to the database, we will create a certain config file, which will be referencing on all the files that we'll be creating that connects to a database. That file will be there, and we'll be declaring a certain global variable called connection. That is per your discretion. What's the name? For the name you will give to that variable, no? You will now bring it up here, and it will flow through the code, just like that.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Good. So maybe you can continue with where you go to.
Thank you very much. So I was just trying to explain. Is it anybody's answer?
No, it's Sebon.
Sebon, okay, talk. We must wait. Okay, so that is it for. I just wanted to explain the global variables and that thing. So its implementation, we will come to this implementation, right? So that is it. So for the functions, I think that the other two that was on it was functions and parameters. So I'll just play with the function parameters and we run that one and see. So I was creating something here. I created a function here. So the function parameters means with this function that you have created, if let's say we want to pass something to it, for example, if let's say we have our SQL, an SQL syntax, which we don't want to make it appear in the main code that you are coding, but rather want to pass on parameters to the SQL for it to perform a certain function, then return a value to us. We can be using these functions to do those things. Okay, so in this case, we just run a certain small function that will add some two numbers together and display certain results to us. So when doing that one, we are going to use the same var_num1 function. So here the parameters, we are adding two numbers. So it means we have to accept two parameters from the two inputs from the system. So we will say here, the first one is, let's say, data1. Let me put it data1, then comma, then the second one will be data2. Okay, so we will now receive the data1 and data2 here. What we will do is the system is supposed to add the two variables here and return a certain value to us. That is all we want this function to be doing. So what we do is here we can just write one line to perform this action, or we can write two lines to perform the action. Starting from the two lines, we can say we can declare a variable called answer. ANS is equal to data1 plus data2. Then I terminate it. Then it should return the answer to me. That is all. So now how do I run it? To access this one, I'll just come here and say outside the function, because it might assume that this very function here it has not been defined on this very image. On this very page. Okay, so I'll run it in this, like, let me say it should print var variable the function name. Then I'll put my variable data in it, either direct or indirect. So I'll say the first number is 25, comma, then the second number is 25 too. You get it? I've kept it in strings. I'm sure you can also make it like that. Since it's a number, you can just release it like that, and it won't spoil the game. So with this one, what it means is I've passed these parameters. Since I've already defined this function here, I've passed these parameters, and this line 17 should display the answer when I'm adding 25 to 25, what will I get? It should display the answer for me. So I'll sync it, then I'll save it. Then I'll go to the browser and see the results of what we have done right now. Let me clear this variable here, so it won't confuse us. So I'll sync and I'll go to the browser. The browser. So on the browser, when I reload, we have 50. So it means the function is okay because it's producing what we want it to produce to us. That is it, the 50. So now let's go back to the code. The code. Then we try something else. Let's put this function in here in the addition file. Okay, since we have referenced it here, no, then let's see how it also works. Okay, we are doing some small advanced something do has it. Okay, particularly we'll be doing that a lot, so we should just start earlier so that we will finish earlier. All right, so you see now, let me comment. If I comment this one off, this variable thing here will give us error because this one we don't know where it is. This variable name doesn't be defined anywhere here, and there's no link to this to where it is found. It has been defined. There's no link to it. So when you try to run this one, let's see the kind of error that will give us. So let me share that one and let's see. So this is a fatal error. It's saying uncaught error. Call to undefined function name var so and so. So now let's handle this error. In handling the error, we will say that fine, this is what we want to do, and we have kept it here. So now to call it here, to create a reference to it, we just have to now include that file on this page. So as I explained earlier, if we do this, it means that all that we have done here, has been in a way defined at the top here. So now this very code will work for us. Okay, so let me run it and come back here to continue. So why am I muting myself? So in running, I'll come here and voila, we still have the same 50 here. So now let's see why we are doing that. The reason why we are doing that is in the future, let's say in a few months to come, when we start doing the hardcore programming, we have to follow a certain standards, a certain programming standards in making our codes more neat. We have to make the codes neat. Okay. Currently, in my codes, I don't really follow the correct standards. So I bombard everything in one script and just go on like that. But now we have to follow the correct standards. Okay, so some of the things are there that we have to group them. If let's say all SQL syntaxes should be grouped in a certain function. So let's say this function is handling registration. This function is handling this. This function is handling that. So when you open our main script, you should be seeing these simple things here. Okay, you should be seeing these simple things. So anything you want to do, it means you have passed it to a certain either a sub procedure that is handling some things for you or any other thing. So you see these lines of code when we have copied this one to this place, we have 15 lines of code here now. Okay, which if these ones were off, we have 9, and even 9 if I take all these spaces out with this variable thing, we should have like 3 or 4 lines to perform the thing for us. Do you get it? So with this, it makes our system, the runtime of the browser, processing our script, it also makes it more faster. Okay, so that is the reason for the function. So the functions there, we'll be using the functions a lot. So we'll get to understand it, and it's not difficult. It's not different from the functions that you are using in the Oracle and the functions that you were doing in C++ and the other C# and the other areas. They are almost the same. They are even the same, not even almost. They are the same decrement. So that is it. So I'll go back to this thing. Our tutorial. Okay. So we've gone through the local variables. We've gone through functions and parameters, function parameters. We've gone through global variables, the static ones. Static ones, when you are doing classes and other things, you see these static variables. And the static variables are unchangeable variables. When you define them, they are just there like that. You get it? You hardly change static variables. So that is that, and that is mostly worked on, mostly used or implemented in classes and other sites. So let's go to the next item on our menu. Please, as I'm sharing the screen, if you raise your hands up, I won't see. So if you have any question, just chip it in, then I'll pause. All right. Thank you. For constants and statics, we won't go there now. We'll come here when we are doing the classes. Then we go to the operators. We go to the operators. So in the operators, then it means we are hitting into the logical reasoning areas. All right. So in simply put, in our basic mathematics, we say in elementary school, we say 1 + 1 is 2. When we were going up to secondary school, they now introduce variables to us. So S1 plus S2 is equal to 3. So S1 and S2 are all what do you call it? Operands. Yeah, operands. And the S1 plus S2, the plus in there represent the operators. So in PHP, the types of operators that whatever PHP language support the following operators. The type of operator that the PHP supports. We have the arithmetics, we have comparison, we have logical or relational operators, assignment operators, and conditional operators. Okay, so we'll go through them one by one. All right. So even though they are self-explanatory, these things are just there like that. A plus adds two things together, so they add operators together. Subtract like that. This modulo also works when you want to find a remainder of some things. Okay. Then the increment. So this increment is mostly used when you are doing loops. When you are doing loops, and let's say you want to find the number of times or the number of records in a certain table, you get, and you don't want to use the count, the query count, and you want to use it, the manual way of getting it. You can use the increment operator to do that. This one too, when we are using the for loop, you can easily use the increment and the decrement. This one, it's either the plus adds only 1 to the current integer. It adds 1 to it. Then the opposite is the -1, the decrement operator. So it's either +1 -1. So that is how it is. Then we go to the comparison. So the comparison, you have the equal, not equal. So the equal checks if the value of two operands are equal or not, right? If yes, then the condition must be true. Same thing. So you see, these ones are not different from the ones that we know already, right? So particularly when we start, then we will be appreciating these ones, not equal to this one, the less than and not less than or greater than or equal to, and all those things. So when these ones comes to play when you are doing the logic side. So when you are creating the procedures for us to use in Premiere and other things, these things are very useful when it comes to that side. They have the logical operators too. So these people, they work together. These squads, they work together. Right? The logical operators too, we have the normal end, the logical end, we have the logical or, then we have this logical end and logical or. These are other replacement of them. So it's either you can use this or this ampersand. Then you can use this. So if you want to confuse the normal or the other computer users, when they see your codes and you don't want them to see the meaning of something, so you might choose not to use this and or. These are human readable. You can choose these symbols and they will be confused. So this one, they are all the same, but you can just use it interchangeably. Then the not sign here, this not sign here is a logical not operator, and it's the same thing that appears here. So wherever you see in the logical operation, whenever you see the exclamation mark, wherever you see it, it means that equation is checking its negation of the positivity of that very statement. So if Kofi is a boy, so say if not Kofi is a boy, then you follow. So wherever you see the if not Kofi, the not Kofi is that if exclamation Kofi is read as if not Kofi. So that's how it is. So these are the logical operators in the what do you call it in operators that the PHP also accepts. Then we have the assignment operators too, and these are the same. So it's equal to, and this one has a special meaning: plus or equal to. Okay, so plus or equal to adds a certain value. Okay, let me read this one. Add and assignment operator. It adds right operand to the left. Good. It adds the right operand to the left operand and assign the results to the left operand. Exactly. I'm sure for this one, let's try to practice it and see. That is where we get the understanding. That's where we get the understanding. So I'll switch to our codes and see if I can work on a certain example for us to understand that side. Okay. So now let's say we have a variable called num1. Num1 is equal to 12. Then variable num. Are you seeing? Why are you displaying this one? Please, okay, this is the. Okay. Then num2 is equal to 12. Then I'm saying that C, let's say C, answer. No, let me say num1. Okay, then num1 no, plus or equal to num2. And I echo num1. Num1. So here we want to mean that num1 has been assigned to 12. Num2 has also been assigned to 12. And here we are saying we are adding num1 to num2, okay? And we are saving the results in num1, back to num1. So here we should expect that the num1 is now 24. That is what we should expect. The answer we should expect from this these lines of code. All right. So when we save it, then we run it. So let's now run it on a browser and see what our results will be. So in the browser, yes. So you see we have our 24 here. So that is what this one wants to mean. The plus or equal to. Okay. That's what it wants to mean. So let me go back there to walk us through it. So this is what we mean. So we are saying plus or equal to, this is the operator we are dealing with. The plus or equal to. Okay. So we are saying that we have two variables here. And instead of us to get another variable and let's say assign the two to it. So this one is equal to this. It's equal to this. I'm introducing another variable called answer. And I'm saying that one is equal to variable num1 plus variable num2. So these are the same thing. This work the same way. But the first one just makes you a pro. The first one just makes you a pro, and the second one makes you just a novice. That's all. They do the same thing. The answers are all the same. This one will give me 24. This one to give me 24. But to differentiate between you and the starter, no, they will just they will just try to confuse you by bringing this line here to confuse you. But they are the same thing. Okay. Why would I go to the trouble if this one is there for me to just add this one, and go my way? It's all boils down to code simplicity. It boils down to code simplicity. So here, if the passer will take few seconds to go through this one. Now here it has to go through. It will spend some time to go through this than spend the time that will spend to go through this one. So probably if you're applying data structures, you want to calculate the cost of this running this line and the cost of running this line. Probably this one. If this one, you see that if you're using the old notation, if they probably to be the same, but the cost, this one might be expensive. This second one might be expensive than running this one because of the nature of this implementation. Do you get it? So they work the same way, but in different approach, depending on which one you want to use. It's on that the one that will be very flexible to you. Just adapt to that one. So going forward, if you are doing a lot of accounting systems or doing a lot of calculative systems, then you can choose the one you have to adapt to. So that is it for that explanation. So I'll go back to that code. We have 4 minutes more to complete. We end very soon. So go back to this side. And so that is it for the plus or equal to. The same thing works for the minus or equal to. The same thing works for multiply, times or equal to. Division, modulo is the same logic that runs through all of them. We have the conditional operator. The conditional operator, conditional expression. If condition is true, then X or Y. Yeah, this one too is there. Personally, I hardly use this one, but you can also use it when you want to do the if else. If you want to, dodge the if else, you can replace the if else with this one. This one works the same as the if else. So going forward, you can also read through and also trying to apply them in your leisure times. Then we have precedence, PHP operators, precedence. These ones, dear, me used to be that. For now, in our state, we don't need these ones. Unless probably when you are doing complex programming, serious complex programming, then you use them. I don't really see in our space why we should be using this complicated assignments here and there. Okay, so fine. It is still open for exploration. If you want to explore, you can go ahead to explore this one. But in the case of our tutorials, this one is out. So let's quickly run through the decision making item. Let's see if it is lengthy. Okay, so now let's push this one to tomorrow. I think it's decision making. It takes time. We have to take our time and run through and test it. So I'll end here, and let's say I'll open room for few questions. Then we take it from there. So thank you for your time. Please, any question up to where we've gotten to?
Okay, so from my quarters, I think I don't have any question.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Bedu and Felix, do you have any question to ask?
C'était bon.
Oui, Miss Way.
It's okay for me now.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. All right.
Thank
So,
so far so good.
Okay, then that's fine.
Though I'm not with my machine now, I'm almost at home. So maybe so all of these I'll just go through.
Okay. So I have the screen recording to I'll try and see how possible I can put it on, let's say Google Drive, then we all tap from it. In our leisure time, we can go through. Okay, so exactly 7:30. So thank you all for cooperation. We'll bring the class to an end today. Tomorrow, same time, we'll continue. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a nice evening as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a nice evening.
All right. Bye-bye.